Hello and welcome to City Trekker. My name's Adam, and today we've got a special interview with Philip de los Reyes of Remote Equipment. Remote Equipment was founded by Philip in 2017, and they launched on Kickstarter with the Alpha 31. Since then, they have put out a few other bags, the Bravo 18 and the Charlie 25. I spoke with Phil a few months ago, and we decided to break up this interview into 3 different parts. So in this first part, Phil's going to share what it was like starting Remote Equipment, launching the Alpha 31, and the materials that they use. I apologize for the audio on the interview. We tried to use a lavalier microphone, but that audio didn't work, so we had to use the audio from the camera without the microphone. I hope you enjoy the interview, and if you do, please click the like button below and subscribe to the channel to check out all of our future reviews. And with that, let's start the interview. Hello and welcome to City Trekker. My name's Adam and I'm with Philip de los Reyes from Remote Equipment. Philip, thank you so much for being with us today.
Happy to be here. Yeah.
So I'd love to hear about your journey that got you to where you are now. And so you've been in, furniture and photography and lots of different things along the way. What got you to the point where you ended up making bags?
I did a number of different things like you were alluding to. I did project management for small and growing brands. I worked in-house for low pro camera bags. And there was this sort of a point where I loved what I was doing for these companies, but there's so many layers to a different company, and I could only affect it at a design level. And I was really looking for something where, I thought maybe I could try and do a little bit more and affect sort of not only sort of designing the bag, but like designing my own plan around what kind of story I wanted to tell with this product and what kind of customer I want to reach. So the ultimate sort of challenge is like not only designing a bag, but designing a business. And so and I get to put my passions for photography and design and communication all together and sort of grow this story. So yeah, it's been a long road.
Yeah. And then in the 2010s, like you kind of had your own design company for a while, I think, right?
So I on and off freelance for people, but it wasn't until 2018 that I sort of struck out on my own. Prior to that, I was working full time for other great companies, and then that was the moment that the stars aligned, and I was sort of like, okay, this is the time when I can go off and try and do my own thing for a little while. And it was sort of I've on the back burner when you're a working designer, you have all these ideas that you sort of think might work, but they're not right for your company's needs or myriad of different reasons. And so it's sort of like, oh, what if I could just do this for me, and maybe if there's enough people like me that they will appreciate what I'm doing. And so when I went to launch the Alpha, this was honestly like a polarizing bag, and I was after something that people would kind of either love or hate, and it would be outside what is common in the marketplace. And this would be something that would if enough people were like me, maybe there'd be enough of an audience for this bag. And so that's really where this started. And I get to sew and tinker and photograph and do all the parts of a small business.
So what was that like? So starting, you making the Alpha 31 and starting a brand basically at the same time and working with Kickstarter, like what was that experience like?
Intimidating, man. You ask everyone and anyone, and if anyone is thinking about doing Kickstarter, email me or email other people that have done Kickstarters. Most people are really surprisingly willing to share their wins and losses and their learnings about it, but it's really intimidating. And what I try to do is ask a lot of questions and learn how to get into that. because everything from, if you're new to it, everything from getting a product made to how you warehouse it, to how you package it, what you need to charge, processing payments, all these things are new to you and very scary. But over time, it was sort of about the product comes first. Let's do what's right for the product and getting it right. And so it took a long time. And you know, for Kickstarter, it was by far above average price point. This was a premium product, and it wasn't about prices, but making what we believed in and then charging what we had to charge. And so that's really where it came from. And then everything else sort of led after that. And so I didn't have the cash in my pocket to go run around to Asia trying to find the right factory. And I knew I could get this made with, make smaller, do a smaller run with a factory in the US. And so it made sense that this would be really like a testing bed to experiment and make something special. And so finding local materials, finding really good talent. We found a place in Vancouver, Washington, right outside Portland. And everything sort of came together. It took a while, but we were able to give it the attention it deserved and make like a really special product. And it was an exhaustive experience, but like a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, in the Alpha 31, I mean, no one had heard of the brand before, the bag before, and so when it launched on Kickstarter, there weren't a ton of bags made from that. But once it got into the hands of the users, they went nuts, right? Like they just love the bag and the functionality of it and everything. How did you, and it's a differently designed bag. It's a really unique style and design. How did you come up with that? And how much user experience did you have? How much feedback did you get before going into production to have a bag that garnered the response that it did?
Well, I think it is a really unique bag, and thank you. But like there are inspirations that are from a long history of bag design, or a short history of bag design. I mean, most outdoor packs really got going in like the 70s, maybe a little bit like the late 60s, but that's really when like nylons were accessible and the outdoor community really embraced these and started tinkering and making their own stuff. And you see some really unconventional and really wild ideas happen there. And I wanted to take some of this sort of fresh, interesting problem solving and put that back into a pack. And so some people feel that, like, for example, the front vertical pockets are fairly unique and maybe polarizing to some people. But these are drawn on, vertical, extra storage pockets on other outdoor bags that have been around for decades. And this was really just making a slightly different version that's a little bit more compact and, designed really for fast access. I mean, so much of what really bore that design was this sort of intersection of outdoor and a bit of like a tactical influence. And so that has been is such an interesting convergence that we see with a lot of brands. But people like the utility and the sort of heavy build that almost comes from the tactical environment, but they love the sort of the smart, highly engineered textiles and smart features that you see in the outdoor environment. And bring these together to make something that is not only good like sort of for the outdoor world, but like can really, sing every day. If you are someone that like wants to bring a decent sized bag to work, it's a 30 plus liter bag. And so this isn't for the weak of heart, but like it's really designed to sing every day and be amazing, and then can do just as well with travel, or even if you're a weekend warrior taking that out on the trail. And so it was like just bring the best engineering that we could find into something that was accessible. We knew there was an audience for something that folks wanted something that was more targeted for them and that was higher performance, that wasn't just something that was only for the wild mountain climbers out there. It's something that they could bring to the office every day, and because we get rained on, we get sweaty, we abuse these things every day going to work. and so why can't we have the equipment to match these needs? And so yeah, it's a little bit unique, and then it's also just about matching a lot of the needs and expectations that I feel have been out there for a while, and now I feel like Remote and other brands are starting to hear this and recognize this demand.
You've really embraced XPac in your bags, and XPac has grown in popularity in the last 10 years. But what fed into your decision to use XPac materials on your bags? So it is a great material. So there's sort of like the business side of it, and then there's like the performance side of it. To get to the business side of it real quick, to get that out of the way, a lot of times when you order fabric from a mill, you have to order thousands of yards, and that's the only way they'll send you the fabric you want. And it's largely an industry that's about volume. And so when you're making a low volume product, we only made a few hundred of these alphas, you need to think a little bit more creatively. So the good news is Dimension Polyant, the maker of XPac, sells in relatively small numbers. And if you want to order 450 yards, they'll sell you 450 yards. So from a business case, this was a win-win. That was sort of the base bar that we had to hit just to make sure our business for this run was viable. The real most exciting part though is that XPac, and there's a few other makers, people doing really special stuff with laminated textiles, is that you're getting like just a composite fabric that is far more efficient at doing the different things that we ask of a fabric by spreading the work throughout different layers. So that's kind of a long-winded way of saying like, basically, but instead of just having one big burly thick layer of 1000D fabric or something that is a great fabric on its own, you can stick together several thinner fabrics and retain a lot, or even outdo some of the sort of tensile strength and tear strengths that you might get in a 1000D. The real thing that's like the most special, and why I think I like it and a lot of customers appreciate it, is there's a PET adhesive film that they use to stick the layers together. And that is an amazing waterproof barrier. You can even see photos online of like people using like a bowl to hold water. Like it literally, like it's impenetrable. It just holds water so well. And so while there are silicone-backed and faced fabrics out there, and TPU-backed fabrics and PU-backed fabrics out there, some of them are not as water resistant, especially if you're getting rained on for in excess of a half hour or an hour. And things like the laminated fabrics from Dimension Polyant are just like amazingly waterproof. And the quality control is great. They're just offering a really amazing textile. It's pricey stuff, but like you get what you pay for. It's a like every person who sort of has an engineering or geeks out on fabric, the more they learn about it, the more they're like, yeah, they've really addressed all the needs really smartly. And it comes from that sailcloth background, and they've surprisingly, in some ways, it's a lot of the same demands that you would need for a good sail feed into what you need for a good pack fabric. So I still love like I was showing you earlier, some 400D classic nylon pack fabrics that I used to make some samples, and I love everything under the sun. Like there's some great materials, and if you're like DIYing and getting started, don't like those XPac will always be there. Just buy like some yardage of like a great 400 or 200D to learn on, and that's what people have been making bags out of and continue to for a reason. It's sort of like the whatever the like oak of its category or something. It's like the standby material. But like once you want to get that beyond that and sort of make it like tailor-made, really sort of the highest performance things we can think of, those are the textiles that come up first. Yeah.
So.
And I love the VX21 on the Charlie, and And VX21 is my favorite material. Do you have a favorite material, or is it more like what is the best for this situation?
I try and think of it more like the latter, like where like I also love VX21, and VX21 has been kicked around for I think even for the alpha back in the day, and the decision was to go with something that was more of a tactical inspiration, something that was even more abrasion resistant than the VX21, and the trade-off is a little bit more weight. But the Cordura textile is amazing on the X50 and X51 fabrics. That said, for a lot of what you see in the outdoor and urban space, the X21 is like the sweet spot. The 210D, the PET film, the X-Ply, and then there's sort of like a 50D taffeta, and that actually just helps like stitch holding. So when your thread is pulling from the back of the fabric, it's pulling on that taffeta. It's not just going through the pulling the face fabric. So you're just getting more layers that's pulling against, and that's really stabilizing it. There are even lighter weight fabrics, like the X07 or something that trade the 210D for a 70D. And that's even, for smaller items or for the ultralight category, a lot of people are really happy with that stuff. So that said, like there's really exciting things happening with more and more like sort of TPU coatings on nylons, and what's happening with different polyesters and coatings. And so I try to sort of, it's the best material I've found so far, and it's such a good spot for what we're doing, and honestly what a lot of other pack makers are doing. But we're also sort of keeping our eye on what's like, what is the next thing? What's going to be, where's the technology headed, and what will textiles look like in 5 years from now? So it might continue to be a version of XPac, but like there's just a lot of interest in even like ultra high molecular weight polyethylene fabrics, like the Dyneema brand and Spectra brand fabrics, and even other things like that, like so polyethylene fabrics and how those can sort of perform in a similar space. Yeah. So it's I mean, half of why I got into this is just to mess with the fabrics. It's like it's the best part is just sort of like going to trade shows or even calling people up and getting these amazing sample books and hearing about their story to develop these amazing textiles, and this getting the opportunity then to discover how one of our designs would really look at these things. And so when someone calls you up and says, hey, we have this crazy kite sailing fabric, do you want to try making a bag out of it? It's like, yes we do. So it's fun. All right, so this is a pre-production version. So this is actually what early press reviewers got of the Alpha 31. It's almost production. It's missing load lifters on the shoulder straps, but it's literally sewn here in-house by us. This is Alpha 31 that's actually closer to 25 liters, pretty early on pack. Just in a 500D Cordura. This was a pretty early one while we're still figuring it out. We can see that it's pretty close to the final body shape. It's just this one's, when we started getting to more polishing mode.
I just want to say thanks so much to Phil for making time for this interview. He was such a gracious host, and we've got 2 more parts left to this interview. So stay tuned. We're going to release the second part of this interview in about a week or 2. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a great day.